everybody. Happy Monday. Sorry about the timer. I took the timer out. It was from the watch along on Friday, and it automatically starts up whenever I start a stream, and so I didn't catch it. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining today. We have a fun stream planned. We have some really great stories. The reason that I'm a little bit late is that I was doing my one and only Ivan review, and it was taking me a little bit longer. There was a siren, and the lighting was giving me issues, so that's going to go up tomorrow. I also got my Unhinged screener today, and so that review should go. I'm going to try and get it up tomorrow as well. Although tomorrow is a very busy day. Tomorrow is supposed to be the one and only Ivan review will go up. Also, there's a DC Fandom reveal. I don't know if it's the same thing as the WB Games Montreal. It's the exact same time, 11 a.m. But I don't understand why they don't seem like they would be the same. It makes sense to me that maybe like some of the trailers would want to get out in front of DC Fandom because it's going to be too crowded a day. Like the WB Games Montreal trailer is going to come out like right after the Wonder Woman trailer. And so it's like, who's going to pay attention to the WB Games Montreal trailer? I mean, obviously some people will, but not to the degree that they would if it had come out all on its own. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the smaller reveals kind of break out from the crowd and put their stuff up, maybe a couple of days in advance. We'll see. I think there's there's supposed to be, so tomorrow at 11 a.m. there should be at least one, maybe two DC things. Yeah, Lloyd, who said? Lauren, Court of Owls did trend, but it'll really trend when they actually make the announcement. It didn't get quite up to the top 10. All right, so everybody, thank you so much. We're going to go through, we have 3 great stories for the day. Before we get started, let's just do a couple of shout outs while we give people time to join in. Where's everybody watching from today? What's going on? Just give a couple of shout outs. Marcos is in Boston with some Pringles dill pickle. I've never tried that flavor before. Carrie Coleman is drinking a green smoothie in Milwaukee. Good for you. Youngie is stuffed with pizza in the UK. You're making me want pizza. Tech Noir Video is in rainy Atlanta. Lloyd says it's in Virginia, just chilling. Tyler Wortham is in Oklahoma at work. Let's see here. Spaceman is eating some soup in Wisconsin. Love it. Buscemi Boy is visiting his niece in Arizona. Niece and sister in Arizona. That's lovely. Let's see here. Gary's in Johannesburg. Stefano is in gloomy Jersey with an espresso. Insamatic is having some beers in Ottawa. Jose is watching the NBA playoffs. See here. Logan is baking cookies during work from home in Dallas. Way to multitask. Let's see here. JLAR17 is having some fish and chips in Mexico. Moviegoer 727 says it's 110 in California. Wow. I saw that Death Valley too. It was like 130. Arvin is in cloudy Orlando feeding his dogs. Kevin's in Montreal reading comics. Great way to spend your time. Star-Lord is having a whiskey in Portland. That's kind of with today's story a little bit, the third story. Dancing Dog is in Boston dieting. Sorry. That's hilarious. Zeester's in Kuwait with his little sister. Jico is pausing his Disney marathon to join today's stream. Love it. Jaeger's Film is in Vegas working on an animated movie. Congratulations. That's awesome. And CJ is in Manhattan having a glass of lemonade and a side of cookies on this beautiful day. Say hi to Marvel for all of us. Marvel is CJ's dog. All right, everybody. So we're going to get to today's 3 stories. And then, of course, as always, at the end of the stream, for the final 10 minutes, you may ask me anything that you would like. All right. So story number 1. Hold on. Boop. All right, so first off, I'd like to tell you, if you haven't already seen it, that I posted a bunch of junket interviews today for The Boys Season 2. I did 6 interviews. They're all up on the YouTube channel, and I hope you'll go and check them out. And what do you know? Right at the same time that the embargo lifted on the junket interviews, I actually did those like a week or two weeks ago. they had a big news announcement, and that's that Jensen Ackles will join the boys for season 3, and he's going to be playing Soldier Boy. Now, of course, Jensen Ackles is very here I am, keep messing up his name. So Jensen Ackles, who I actually quite liked in My Bloody Valentine. Remember that 3D movie that came out like a while back when 3D was just starting, and they're like, it's a 3D horror movie. Well, the 3D in that was actually pretty good, and I really thought Jensen Ackles, even though I don't watch Supernatural, I was like, this guy, I can see why so many people like him. Oh, it's Ackles? You know, I'm sorry, I don't know why it is Jensen Ackles. You know, autocorrect is killing me on stickies, YouTube, on Apple stickies. So anyway, Jensen Ackles is one of the co-stars of Supernatural. And that, of course, is entering its final season. And so he had a very funny thing on his Instagram where he was like, what am I going to do? What should I do now? And then he said, it hit me. And then he got hit with a copy of The Boys. Now, Eric Kripke, who was the showrunner on Supernatural, is also the showrunner on The Boys. So it makes sense that he would bring Jensen Ackles over with him. So who is he playing? Well, I don't want to give too much away, and I'll tell you why. So basically, Soldier Boy is a take on Captain America. It's a spoof of that character. But in the comics, he's not immortal. It's a legacy title, which means that there have been 3 Soldier Boys throughout the course of the story since World War II. But, you know, this show makes a lot of changes to the comic, so I think we'll have a better idea maybe of what they're planning by the end of season 2. Now, interestingly, I think there's a reveal in episode 1 that would be perfect, absolutely perfect to coincide with this, but I've been specifically told that I cannot tell you what it is. It's not a huge reveal, it's a story reveal, but, you know, it's under embargo for season 1. It's in the very first episode, and as soon as you see it, or hear it in this case, you'll understand why Soldier Boy is going to show up. Now, I think this is going to be great. I'm very curious if, because, you know, the character actually won't show up until season 3, you know, and they did renew The Boys for season 3 before season 2 even debuted. And I wonder if it ended on another amazing cliffhanger where they're like, how can we not continue this story? So part of me thinks, and I only seen the first 3 episodes, so this is a guess. Wouldn't it be interesting if maybe in this area, because they're, you know, Captain America is so iconic at this point thanks to the Marvel movies, that at the end of the season, like maybe they find the block of ice that Jensen Ackles is in. So I think it's a really clever idea. There is like a LGBT storyline between Homelander and Soldier Boy, but it seems like I don't think that it would work the way it's done in the comic. So they'd have to make some changes to it, and I'd be interested to see what they decided to do. But I think it could be really cool. It would be, I think, you know, the show continues to really push the edge of the envelope. The embargo for the review of the first 3 episodes lifts next Monday at around at 12 noon as well. So I'm very excited to share that with you. So we'll see what they decide to do. But I think, you know, he's a great character, great actor, and I think he's a good fit with Chris Evans, actually. So I think they could have a lot of fun with that character. So yeah, I mean, they do a lot of things about, I don't know Lloyd. I mean, he is in the comics, but I don't know if he actually is in the comics. I mean, as aggressive as the show is, the comics are even more aggressive. And they're also certainly not sensitive to today's social media landscape. So they're going to have to decide what they want to do. But I'm excited to see it. You know, they could have, you know, Soldier Boy have an LGBT situation, because, you know, you guys just mentioned a Winter Soldier character. They could do that there instead of doing it with Homelander. So we'll see what they decide to do. All right, so that's the first story of the day. You can see that's Soldier Boy on the cover of that issue there of The Boys, and you can't see it there, but he's wet as spandex. So you can just see what kind of comic that is. All right. So let's see here. That's the Sabian Robinson says, will you be dropping reviews week to week for The Boys? I have to see how the coverage does. I am probably going to do something about Soldier Boy when that first episode drops, because you'll all know the spoiler at that point, so we can discuss it. So that's I think I'm planning to do that video then. And then, of course, when the season's done, I'll do a season 3 video as well. What to expect for season 3. All right, so that's story number 1. Story number 2, boop. All right, so big headline today. Will Smith and Kevin Hart are going to star in a remake of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I think this is an amazing idea. I think it's going to do incredibly well. And I think they're very well cast in the Steve Martin and John Candy roles respectively. I think that very, very good. And, I have to say, even though I preferred the original of The Untouchables from France, that was a big hit for Kevin Hart. So I can see why he'd want to remake another movie. Hey, Brandon, thanks for joining. If you join during a live stream, I always give you a shout out. So they're producing this themselves. Aisha Carr not only wrote the script, she not only adapted the script, but it'll be her directorial debut. So it's wonderful to see some female talent in the comedy space, especially not necessarily making a female comedy, but just a successful, comedy. I think it's a great idea. She not only has worked on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but she's also behind Hulu's upcoming Woke, which stars Lamorne Morris. I'm sure you've seen the trailer. He's a cartoonist that feels like there's no need for Black Lives Matter, and then he has a situation happen to him, and he becomes very, very woke. I'm a big fan of Lamorne Morris from New Girl, and so I'm happy to see him get some more work. And I think that sounds like Aisha Carr has a really good sensibility comedy-wise, so I think she sounds like a good choice for this. Paramount will distribute. It's funny to see more John Hughes stuff getting, because of course the Spider-Man movies were based off of John Hughes' work, so that works, I think, quite well. And it's a really big deal for actors of color. Really big deal for actors of color to star in a property like this. Now, I'm curious to see how this will work with race-bending roles, right? I mean, like race-bending characters, so far it gets attention, but people have preferred organic, original characters, and people gravitate more towards that. So I think that I wouldn't go and make a different ethnicity version of every popular movie that's ever been, but I think that, in some cases, I think it's an interesting idea. I'm also particularly in favor of this because I don't like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I've never been able to get through it. It's too annoying to me. So I don't like annoying humor, it's funny how annoying it is. I'm like, nope, I'm just annoyed. So I've actually never been able to get through this movie. So I'm hoping that maybe it will be a little more palatable to me with this cast, because I think that both Will Smith and Kevin Hart are very commercially they have good commercial sensibilities. And I think they would do an excellent job with this. They really know how to connect with audiences and to make people have a good time. So I think it could work really, really well. Now, what's the story about if you've never seen the movie? These two very different guys have to get home for Thanksgiving. And so they get stuck together trying to get home, taking planes, trains, and automobiles. I'll be curious to see how they update it for today's audiences with today's technology. Like whenever you watch an old movie, you're like, why don't you just use a cell phone or the internet? So I'm curious to see how they also have a problem for them. That's true. It is a little like Due Date, tech noir video. That's true, with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. And I actually didn't watch that movie. It didn't look appealing to me either. So hopefully, third time's the charm. But I think this is a great idea, and I think that while I'm not a fan of, again, as I said, redoing all movies, I think this sounds like a really good project, especially with these two actors. Like, this is like A-list actors, especially with Will Smith involved. I'm very excited to see Will Smith. I really want to see him turn stuff around. I loved him in Aladdin, so I think he's just great for this. Mika, I believe it is the same title. So would you be interested in this movie? I agree, AJST. Female director on this is very cool. No, Lucas, this is for theaters. This is hopefully going to be a big Thanksgiving movie. I could see it doing big, big business. And I see it having huge crossover appeal with not only, I don't think this is something that would just appeal to black audiences, but I think it would appeal to all audiences because both those actors have had a lot of crossover appeal in the past already. I'm seeing mostly yeses, but it's not overwhelmingly yeses. I see like 75% yes. I mean, it's a Thanksgiving movie. I think, I think you would be powerless to resist, quite frankly. Hey, Green Venom. Oh, and you have the avatar to match. That's fantastic. Joseph says, I just don't want to see a shot-for-shot remake. I want to see modern stuff thrown in. I agree. I definitely agree. Green Venom, you're very popular with your name and your avatar. Jico says, I got to see the trailer first. Yeah, I can see that. But I'm like, as a studio executive, I'd be like, we're buying this. I'd be like, we're definitely making this. It's a really, really good idea. All right, so that's the second story of the day. All right, hold on, one more. Boop. All right, the third story of the day. Ryan Reynolds just became even wealthier. Ryan Reynolds is a really, bye to movie lover, Ryan Reynolds is a really, really wealthy individual. So as we recently discussed, in the last fiscal year, or for whatever Forbes' reporting is for the highest paid actors in Hollywood, Ryan Reynolds was number 2 with a whopping $71 million thanks to largely three $20 million paydays from Netflix. 3 of them. They paid him $20 million each time. That's incredible. So that's $71 million. But he's not done, because Ryan Reynolds has been very clever to diversify his portfolio, and he doesn't just make money from acting. In fact, a lot of actors do this. You might not know this, but both Courtney Cox and Jeremy Renner make a ton of money flipping houses. They buy houses in Los Angeles, they renovate them, and then they sell them at a higher price. They're actually, in fact, I believe Jeremy Renner makes more money doing that than he ever has from acting. So that's something to remember. Even if you're very successful in one business, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't maybe get involved in another. So what happened? Well, I'm sure you've seen the headline because it's a doozy. Ryan Reynolds, he's been a major part of Aviation Gin for quite some time. He's he's like an ownership stake. And he also, by the way, is an investor in Mint Mobile. So by the way, if you ever see Ryan Reynolds tweeting about a product, he likely is invested in it, because he, of course, recently tweeted about Mint Mobile as well. So he sold Aviation Gin for $600 million. It's not $600 million up front. I think it's like 300 something up front, and then the rest promised in bonuses over the next 10 years if the alcohol continues to perform, because they want Ryan Reynolds to continue to promote it. Actors are very good in the alcohol business. In fact, who else is in the alcohol business? Mr. Dwayne Johnson. He hasn't sold his just yet, but I'm sure he's itching to, especially after this headline. Dwayne Johnson's very competitive. And he also has I think he has a tequila business or something, but Dwayne Johnson is always promoting his alcohol as well. In fact, he infamously or famously took a photo with him and Henry Cavill enjoying a drink at sunset, because, you know, Dwayne Johnson's really promoting the heck out of that liquor. Now, the person who is the pioneer as an actor promoting alcohol is George Clooney. George Clooney got a whopping amount of money for I think he had a tequila company, which he founded with Randy Gerber, who he's very good friends with. Randy Gerber, of course, is Cindy Crawford's husband. So they did like a tequila company, and they sold it for $700 million up front and like an extra $300 million in bonuses. So that was like $1 billion deal. You guys, people are spending so much money on alcohol. This is insane. So that is still the record holder for an alcohol sale by an actor. But George Clooney also makes way more money from alcohol. Like his estate in Italy, that was paid for by his alcohol company. And also he makes more money with like his Nespresso advertisements. So acting is like a side gig for George Clooney, which is maybe why he doesn't do it so much anymore. Also, you know, he has so much money at this point, he can focus on being a parent. He recently had twins and other things in his life. But anyway, yes, Ryan Reynolds will, I'm sure, continue to promote Aviation Gin because he wants those bonuses. And I think it's just, it's a very interesting part of the movie business. And so you remember, you always want to diversify your portfolio. Some of you that's right, Sharon. Grace launches 0% alcohol gin. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. In fact, I was asked if I wanted to advertise alcohol. And I was like, well, I can't personally advertise it because I don't drink. I can't be like, here, you drink this. I mean, I don't think that's appropriate. But most people, partake. And as you can see, there's an incredible amount of money in it. An incredible amount of money. Brad Pitt also has diversified his portfolio, but that's with producing. He's still mainly in the movie business. But this is about people diversifying into totally different fields. So It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, another person who made a lot of money who is a Hollywood talent but isn't an actress is Bethany Frankel with her Skinny Girl alcohol. She made so much money off of that. She is like super wealthy off of that. It's like another thing, like just, instant overnight, vast amounts of wealth. So if you're ever looking to get into a business, it seems like alcohol is a pretty good business to get into. And if you're not a celebrity, you should go look for one to partner with, because that seems to be the formula for success. All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. Oh, that's right, Fenty. James, you're right. Rihanna has Fenty. That's an excellent point. Very excellent point. So getting into fashion as well. And the Kardashians, of course, have built an empire on this stuff, on products. All right, so this is the Ask Me Anything portion of the show. It's 5:01. We'll go till 5:10. So Mika says, what do you think of Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana? Well, there's another actress playing her first in the next season, but everyone's focused on the next season because, of course, they're casting it right now. I think Elizabeth Debicki is a fantastic choice for Princess Diana. I think she looks uncannily like her. I don't know if she quite has the same energy as Princess Diana. I hope they portray Princess Diana accurately and that she was like Angelina Jolie in terms of marketing herself. She was a genius, very shrewd. I've told you this before, but she used to call the tabloids before she would go anywhere so they'd all show up. She has a very complicated relationship with the press because, of course, some people feel that they were responsible for her death. So that's a very dark turn that it took. But I really trust that show at this point. I think The Crown is one of the best things I've ever seen. It's certainly the best portrayal I've ever seen of the monarchy. And it also made me understand the importance of the monarchy to the UK. I don't even think people even get that really. Like, it shows that the monarchy, when it does what it's supposed to, is like looking out for the best interests of the UK. And since they're not there forever, they're not elected, they don't have to worry about being reelected. And so that gives them an ability to have some objectivity. Hey, MJC. And I think that that's something that the Queen maybe gets, and why maybe she worries that her family doesn't get it, and why she's so reluctant to pass the crown. I don't know about Kristen Stewart for Diana. She could work. I mean, as we discussed when that happened, that filmmaker did Jackie with Natalie Portman, which I thought was a horrible idea. But then when I saw the movie, I was like, there's something here. So I'm not going to write Kristen Stewart off just yet. But this is tough competition. This is really tough competition. Keith says, will you review Titans Season 3? I'll cover the trailer. I'll review the first episode. I'm not going to cover it weekly for sure, because there just isn't that much interest in these shows, as I told you. Like, there's just not that much interest in these shows behind a paywall. I hope when they fully move over to HBO Max, as they're going to do, they get bigger audiences. Hey, Rich Campbell, thanks for joining. Matt says, Grace, do you prefer The Office or Curb Your Enthusiasm? I enjoy both, but I'm going to go with Curb Your Enthusiasm. Chico, what are my dinner plans this evening? You always ask about my dinner. I actually appreciate it. I think I'm going to go with fish sticks. I'm watching Unhinged. I'm trying to think what goes with Russell Crowe. I guess I'm going to go with fish sticks. Dallas says, is there any way The Boys could drop this weekend instead of next weekend? No, it's not supposed to drop either weekend. It's supposed to drop September 4th. So if anything, it would maybe drop on the 28th. But New Mutants comes out then anyway. They've already promoted so much. I think at this point they're going to stick with their release date. Logan says, how is the COVID situation in New York? Well, I'm planning to make a video about it at some point, or I'll cover it in Movie Math this coming Sunday. But Governor Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, just said he's in no rush to open movie theaters here. And I think New York and California are going to support each other. And, Cuomo said movies aren't a necessity, and they're such a high-risk facility. And that's true. Movie theaters are very high risk. There's no ventilation in there, and you're sitting still. And I saw some people point out that even if, you take your mask off to eat your snacks, but are you really going to put it back on after you eat the snacks? It's very unlikely. So I think that, you could argue people need to keep physically fit with gyms and stuff like that. And also they can have, they can open a window, or they can have better ventilation, because gyms do have good ventilation because it's a gym. But I think movie theaters are just in a difficult spot. I think they're in a real difficult spot. I think New York and LA are going to stay closed for a while. Green Venom says, is Injustice 3 going to happen? Which DC character do you want to join the roster? There have not been any that have not been in the previous games. That's a great question, Green Venom. I'm very excited for Injustice 3. I don't think we're going to get an announcement just yet, or Injustice would have a panel in the main Hall of Heroes instead of in Watchverse. But I would assume that we're going to get another Injustice at some point. I love Injustice. I think that they just do such a fabulous job with the characters. I think they really understand the characters. And who would I want to see? It's tough. I mean, they've really had almost all the characters in there so far. Maybe Batwoman would be cool to bring Batwoman in. You know, she's growing a fan base. I think that could be really interesting, and she certainly has cool visuals. Lucas, I didn't see the Netflix intro for theaters. I'll go check it out when this is done. Mika says, what are your thoughts on Tig Navarro replacing Chris D'Elia in the Army of the Dead? I think it's a fantastic idea. I think when we all saw that image, we were like, uh-oh, you know, with Chris D'Elia. And I think, you know, it's interesting that Warner Brothers hasn't gotten rid of Amber Heard or Ezra Miller, although I think Chris D'Elia is in a different class, unfortunately. I think in a different class with those allegations. And he also... Amber Heard and Ezra Miller still have all their agents, where everyone has dropped Chris D'Elia, and Netflix included. They were going to do another show with him, dropped. So I think he really had to be taken out. I think that Tig Navarro was very smart because they have to digitally. She has a similar build and haircut as Chris D'Elia, which is really funny, and so they can do a little bit of an easier replacement digitally of her. I feel bad for the film, you know, for Zack Snyder and his team that they have to do that. I mean, it's going to be a very difficult thing to do, particularly during coronavirus. But I think it's such a clever fix, and I think Tig Navarro in an action movie for zombies is such a fun idea that I think it's going to really increase the profile for the film, and it's going to be a publicity genius move. So I think that they could not have done a better job turning a negative into an overwhelming positive. And I'll certainly discuss it when we get a trailer. Tabitha Play says, will you be reviewing the Enola Holmes movie? I will, and I'll be covering it when they have a full trailer. But they didn't even post that teaser online today. As soon as that teaser went up, I didn't watch it, and I went to see if they dropped it on the Legendary YouTube channel or the Netflix YouTube channel, and they hadn't. So I'm going to wait for a full trailer. Jimmy says, will Mulan surprise us with songs? I'm afraid I don't think that's going to happen, which is too bad, because I think we would all like songs. Ari says, that's such a cute question, Ari. Is Christmas in New York as glamorous as the films portray it to be? I got to tell you, it is. It's absolutely wonderful. I would not come this year because I think there's still going to be coronavirus situations, and the crowds in New York at Christmas time are insane. Now, I thought that maybe there would be less crowds this year, but based on some of the crowds I'm seeing at some of the theme parks, that's probably not going to be the case. So it's going to be like ridiculously crowded here. But I have to say that coming to New York at Christmas time is just an absolute delight. And I highly recommend that everyone do it one time, you know, at least one time. New York really knows how to Christmas it up. My two favorite places to spend Christmas are New York City and Walt Disney World. I'd like to someday be in the UK for Christmas. I hear it's a more low-key Christmas celebration, but, you know, it's London, Charles Dickens. I'd really like to do it. And I was actually going to maybe do it this year, but now coronavirus. So I don't know. Dancing Dog 60. It's so funny you bring up Nate Parker. I just the other day was on Disney Plus, you know, over the weekend being like, is there anything to watch on here? And they have a Black Stories category that they added. And I was like, oh, let's see what's on here. And they had Red Tails. And I was like, oh, I've never seen Red Tails. Do I want to watch it? And I watched the clip and I was like, I don't know how historically accurate this is. But Nate Parker is in that movie. And I was like, oh, I really liked his Birth of a Nation, in fact. I thought it was very good. But yeah, he just, you know, that revelation about him, I don't think, he would have come back by now. I think it's going to be difficult for him to come back. Mika says, Emmys video coverage or live tweets? Probably something in the live stream. I'll probably tweet it as well. When are the Emmys? I forgot. They're not this weekend because I'm doing DC Fandom. But yeah, I'll cover it in some way. Ari says, Christmas in London is nice, but not as grand as New York. I can see that. New York really knows how to commercial it up. Also, we've got Macy's. We've got Rockefeller Center. You ever see Elf? Elf is great. I love Elf, particularly because not only it's a great movie, but because it takes place in so many places that are a part of my whole childhood and to this day for Christmas. I worked as an elf at Macy's. I was Peppermint the Elf. I worked in puppet theater. Radio City Music Hall, that's a great show. But so many people are on their phone during it. It's really crummy. In fact, I went to see it last year with my family, and these people in front of us must have gotten their tickets for free because they literally spent the entire show on their phones. We went to get the security guard. They put their phones away when the guy came, so he's like, I don't know. He didn't really do anything. He was totally ineffective. It was a disaster. So that was pretty annoying. Oh, it is time. Oh, it is time. I love talking to you guys. It always goes by so quickly. All right, I'll do like 3 more questions. Oh, Marduk, Christmas in Paris? I love Paris. I've been there twice now. It's just so fantastic. It's such a beautiful city. I miss it very much so. I was there on Bastille Day, the same day that Trump was there, actually. And that was quite a parade, I will say. But it's a beautiful city. I love it so much. I would love to be there sometime for Christmas. If I'm ever allowed back in as an American. Jose, I will review Superman Man of Tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to be able to watch it during DC Fandom, but when it comes out, I will review it. Let's see here. Ellis, I saw that Lovecraft Country was trending last night. I'm not surprised. As I told you, the first episode is amazing. I'm very curious to see how people react to episode 2, because it gives, as I said in my review, it's going to give you whiplash for how much that show changes. And I felt it was, very disappointing. See here. Alan says, do you think that Project Power was a win for Netflix? I think it was. It certainly debuted at the first spot. I think we won't really know for sure until we see like where it ranks in the most watched movies of all time. Like The Old Guard is a huge hit for Netflix, although there was a recent chart that came out that showed that Hamilton blew The Old Guard out of the water. It was like 4 times the viewership. So it's really still hard to get a beat on what's successful for these streaming services because they don't have to release any numbers. So we don't know how they're doing. All right, everybody, that's today's live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. There will be a live stream again tomorrow and also Wednesday and Thursday as well. And then I'm trying to take most of Friday off unless a Mandalorian trailer drops in the evening because I'm taking a day off to prepare for DC Fandom. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm supposed to get my box tomorrow, my box of goodies. All right, everybody, see you tomorrow, and there are lots of videos going up tomorrow. And if you didn't get a chance, please go check out my interviews for the boys. I hope that you enjoy them. There are 6 in total, and the links to them are pinned at the top of each of the videos in the comment section. All right, bye, everybody.